A deadly wreck highlighting a bigger problem. Tonight, an in-depth look at the bridge strike to our north that's having a ripple effect on traffic and so much more.
Tonight, we know more about the man who died after a truck slammed into a bridge in Salado, about 25 miles north of Georgetown.
In just the last half hour, TxDOT opened up the northbound detour. Through lanes are still closed going southbound. It will be more than 2 hours before the main lanes are open.
And this is what we know right now. One man, 32-year-old Clark Brandon Davis of Arlington, was killed in this crash. 3 other men were injured. DPS says a flatbed truck carrying an oversized cherry picker hit a beam on the bridge, knocking it down onto traffic. We're going to have in-depth reports from all angles of this story, starting first with David Scott live at the crash scene. And David, what does it look like out there right now?
Well, this diversion off of the highway here at the Salado exit continues. It's been like this since 11:30 this morning when the accident occurred. Now, of course, the traffic at that point during the day was backed up 8 miles in either direction. Right now, it is thinned out considerably, and they hope to get at least part of the highway restored and moving in the next couple hours, or at least sometime during the night before rush hour. In the meantime, the cleanup continues down on the highway, where earlier today 1 man was killed, 3 people were injured, and 5 trucks were either crushed or damaged. As work went into the evening, the giant beams that were toppled from the bridge were slowly lifted by crane off the highway. This is a 3.5-mile stretch undergoing major construction for many months now. The new bridge did not collapse, but beams sitting on it tumbled down when it was struck by a northbound semi that DPS and TxDOT say was clearly too tall to pass through.
When the vehicle struck the beam, it actually knocked it askew. When it did, the 2 beams dropped, and the trucks going both northbound and southbound then impacted.
A southbound pickup was crushed, its driver killed. 3 others were injured, 3 semis banged up. TxDOT says the DMV has had a new system for 2 years now that allows all truck drivers to know the height of anything along their travel route.
That enables drivers to go out and, kind of map out their trip and determine certain heights at certain points along the route. If they need to go and, reroute because of a height restriction, they can certainly do that.
And if that DMV site with the bridge heights was not enough, there are warning sites that this bridge was 14 feet high, going back 2 miles out, 1 mile out, and at the exit just prior to this bridge. Meantime, this evening, working into the dark, DPS experts trying to measure the height of the suspected truck, but it's difficult work in the dark, and also because the top of that truck has suffered damage. And one final note of irony, this is National Work Zone Safety Awareness Week, and the motto is, expect the unexpected. In Salado, David Scott, KXAN News.
Today's crash affected one of the busiest highways in the entire state. Tens of thousands of cars and trucks travel I-35 and pass through Central Texas every day. I want to show you where that crash happened. It happened actually right here in Salado. And tonight, troopers started to divert traffic around Temple to the north and Georgetown to the south. Our Angie Bevan joins us live from Highway 195 in Georgetown.
Well, earlier today, we traveled from the hospital in Temple on down here just north of Georgetown. That was on the southbound detour, and traffic wasn't too bad. The northbound detour, which is no longer in effect, directed cars from I-35 going north onto 195 toward Killeen, and that exit ramp is behind us here. Just moments ago, it was backed up, bumper-to-bumper traffic moving very slowly, but within the past half hour or so with the interstate opening back up, cars started moving along and it's clearing up. We came across several highway crews directing drivers with signs trying to help them through the detours. Highways 190 and 195 are seeing a lot more traffic than usual. Big rigs headed through Killeen aren't a common sight. Local police there help direct traffic on their main roads. From what we can tell, traffic moving northbound is what's backed up the most. We caught up with drivers caught in the mess. Carolyn Barber is traveling home to Dallas from San Antonio. She and her family spent more than 2 hours on I-35 before getting to the detour, where traffic's still slow going.
It's scary. Everybody's trying to merge in, and you're trying to figure out what's going on and not knowing. So like I said, she finally Googled it and we saw that it had been a terrible accident. It's just so sad. Someone was killed in that situation, so it's really sad. I hate that.
Have been scattered throughout all evening. They were just behind us at the intersection there at that stoplight, but they have gone ahead and left this northbound detour area. Again, the lanes going north on I-35 are back open, but it still could be a couple of hours before those southbound I-35 lanes are open as well. Reporting live in Georgetown, Angie Bevan, KXAN News.
We do know that any truck like this would need the proper permits for such a journey. KXAN investigator Robert Maxwell looks at the process and the tools in place to prevent tragedies like this.
Now, TxDOT says the bridge had a clearance of 14 feet and 1/2 inch, but they say workers posted signs warning trucks taller than 13.5 feet to exit. In fact, they say they posted signs 2 miles out, 1 mile out, and right at the exit. A TxDOT spokesperson says they passed this information over to the Department of Motor Vehicles, the DMV, which actually issues the permits that oversized trucks need. We took a look at the state's system for issuing those permits. It's all on the DMV's website. The rules are quite clear. Any truck taller than 14 feet needs a permit, even a day permit. Drivers can get all that online. Now, earlier, I spoke with the CEO of the Texas Trucking Association Industry Group.
It's not just to pay a permit fee and then you can go on. That is a routed load, just as you or I might Google an address to figure out how to get there. There's a system that's called TexPros that does the same for truckers across the state, and it's where truckers can access those permits that are the simple loads, over-dimension, overweight.
Esparza says recently penalties for oversized trucks were raised not to collect more revenue for the state, but to help discourage truckers from not securing those permits, which come with the safest routes, and gambling with your safety. I'm Robert Maxwell, KXAN Investigates.
John Esparza says his group is pushing for truck companies to use pilot cars more frequently. Those are normal-sized cars with antennas that can tell if the truck would be in danger.
And one of the things that they actively are looking at, it's something that we've been talking with them about now for some time, as they're seeing these bridge strikes across the state. We're all looking for how do we solve the problem of these increases in bridge strike.
Between 1995 and 2012, TxDOT reported 6 bridge strikes involving big rig trucks.